less than a very memorable match here between Sweden and Norway. The third final this season these two teams have met. Oh, just a beautiful little baby line from Christian Sørum to start things off.
You got team mustaches going for the Volley Vikings. What do we think of that, Trav?
You know, I commentated Norway's first match of the tournament. I said, you know, there aren't too many things I can nitpick with Anders Mol, but the mustache game could use a little work, brother.
I mean, he's a handsome kid no matter what's going on with his face. But it's no longer November. I'm not sure if he's aware of that.
And it might be that I'm just looking for one flaw in Anders.
Yeah. Well, you know, our jealousy tends to rear its head in ugly ways at times.
What a dig that is from David Hman. And then the shoulder mobility, facing angle, and then just the full thumb down wrist away into the line.
That is a fantastic swing. High on the difficulty chart.
A little bit of trouble here for Norway. What a dig that is from Hman. And then here we go. Here are the circus tricks. Mol is ready, but even with Mol in front of Hman, he still punishes that down the line.
Yeah, in our bronze medal match, we talked about the dig control that George and Ahmed Tijan have. David Hman might be the best of them all.
More trouble. That is not an ace serve. Tremendous pickup from Anders. And that's going to be a relative open swing for Hman. What a pickup from Sørum. Oh, my goodness. Sweden. Just doing Sweden things out there.
You mentioned you popped some popcorn to get ready for this match. And David Hman looks like something, just the human incarnation of that out there, just popping up and down out of the sand time and time again.
Service pressure remains high from Sweden. Excellent set from Anders Mol. Tremendous hands on that sort of sideways set at the net.
That's some wrist flexibility to be able to pull that out of the net sideways.
What a dig that is from Sørum. Excellent platform control. Sets a bit too far inside. Oh, it's just such a casual dig that is from Hman. And the option this time taken from Jonathan Hellvig, and just another extended, magnificent rally of beach volleyball.
Yeah, tremendous start here for the Swedes. And again, it's one of those situations, not that the Volley Vikings doing anything wrong. It's just the Swedes playing tremendous defense, putting a lot of pressure on Norway right now from the service line.
Excellent shot from Christian Sørum. Anything less than perfect, Hman's on. But sometimes, all the time actually, perfect tends to work.
A beautiful variety in the depth of that line shot, just knowing that he has to go with the short version.
Love this camera angle. This is going to give you such a good look at the amount of space Anders can take up. Oh, come on, Christian. You gotta know.
Travis.
Announcer's fault. Excellent move at the net from Hellvig. And then just jams that into the bottom of the net. Another good chance for Sweden.
That's a great touch at the net from Hellvig. You see he's a little apologetic that he hit that in the net. Just being aggressive, though. Those are the kind of mistakes you can abide. Don't want to make too many of them, but.
The Anders Mol jump serve has been Yet another development to the constantly expanding arsenal of Norway. It really started debuting that back in Cancun of 2021. It's become such a consistent source of earned points. And speaking of consistent earned points, the soft block setting from Sweden is tremendous. And then Aman again, staying so physical.
Yeah, it's so impressive, isn't it, how Jonathan Hellvig, he gets that touch and almost before he lands, positions himself to set the second ball.
Big swing from Christian Sørum. It's rare that you can hit David Aman and it doesn't come up for a dig.
Let's have a look at this. Christian does have a little bit of that. Yeah, not the true topspin that we see out of the likes of a George or an Alexander Horst. He kind of goes for the scud variety.
Excellent hang time from Hellvig, finding the high hands of Anders Mole.
There and a point for Team Sweden. Sweden 9. Norway 5. Side switch.
We see this from time to time, actually quite a bit of the time out of Norway, where they just kind of work their way into a match, kind of slowly solving the Rubik's Cube, as it were. We see them drop a lot of first sets at times and then, work their way back in once they kind of get a hold on what you're doing as a team against them. But difficult solve is this Swedish duo.
What an excellent pass that is from Hellvig, and David Aman, just no hesitation, no doubt he was taking that on two.
You mentioned the depth of the sand here in Doha, but these boys look springy.
And that is a tremendous swing down the line from Christian Sørum.
Sweden 10. Christian Sørum to play the serve for Team Norway.
I'm always impressed by how consistent his attack position is. Gives himself all kinds of range and options.
Another big swing from Aman. That is a wonderful dig from Sørum. And look at Hellvig back there on defense. Not letting Mole get his first block of the match. And Sørum almost gets the gator on one. Two of the best defensive teams in beach volleyball. Another evidence of that, another extended rally.
I mean, how about the work that went in just to get the side out there for Sweden? Both teams just fighting tooth and nail for every point here.
Mole catching his breath, had a long semifinal earlier today, won 17-15 in the third. Dive angle blocks are the call for Sweden. Perfect timing from Aman. And then Hellvig, great job winning the joust, and then David Aman putting it away into the deep corner.
Sweden 12. Norway 7.
That was that view you were looking for, that ground level camera we got out there. You can see how much lateral movement there is from everybody, and yeah, what a great shot that was to the deep corner from Oman to seal the deal for Sweden.
I didn't want to say anything about that camera angle that time. Oh, what a change of direction from Aman. And then Christian Sørum. Boom! Big angle swing.
Norway 8. Sweden 12.
It's Norwegian for Yahtzee.
That is a good question. Relevant, topical question from Rich Lampoint. Need some help, Norwegian fans. A little bit of trouble here for Sweden. They've been siding out perfectly and remain so. They are siding out 100% against the greatest defensive team of the last half decade in beach volleyball.
That is excellence from Johnny Hellvig.
We brought this up a number of times today because the level has been so high. Norway's down 13-8, and they're not really doing anything wrong. On the other side of the net, you have David Hman, who's a digging, scooping machine, and they're also playing a flawless match at the moment. What if you're Norway? Do you change much, if anything at all, or is it just you mentioned that they're okay dropping the opening set? They're okay letting up a big lead because they have so much patience and trust in their system. They know that they are the best team in the world. Do they just sort of wait and just take the data points, and make the adjustments when they see them?
Well, yeah, I think you said it perfectly. I mean, I think that their experience and their confidence in their own game allows them to be patient. You know, understand that there's kind of ebbs and flows in any particular volleyball match, and so you just kind of have to keep doing your thing. We've talked about they're not necessarily doing anything wrong on their side, so no need to really make too much adjustment.
Nicely done. A little tempo bump juice from Christian Sørum.
And we know about their dominance and how we talked about how that's kind of caused the level of the rest of the world to come up to meet them. These Swedish kids have really inspired everyone worldwide to add some variety to their offense as well, including the Volley Vikings, as we see with some of those bump shoot sets.
What's amazing to me about this Swedish team is that I would have to put Jonathan Hellvig in the realms of one of the more underrated players in the world, because everyone sees the spectacular stuff that David Hman does, and Hellvig is almost the second part of that conversation, and yet he does stuff like that last option that he just makes an absolute line bouncer just look so easy.
It is interesting, right? Because, you know, Oman's got kind of the beach volleyball looks with the blonde curly hair. He does all kinds of spectacular stuff out there defensively and offensively. And so, yeah, the greatness of Johnny Hellvig sometimes gets a little bit overlooked.
And 25 points is what it took for Norway to earn their first defensive point of the match. Can they begin a run to bring them back into this opening set? A little bit more trouble on these seam serves. Rare miscommunication from Sweden, and that is just a marvelous little line shot from Johnny Hellvig.
I'm a big fan of that serving tactic from Anders there, kind of the deep, loopy float serve. I just feel like that makes it difficult to run that option offense that Sweden like to run. Just a little bit.
That's a perfect little no-look line swing from Christian Sørum. One of the best vision players in the world. It's so rare that Christian will hit the wrong shot at the wrong time. Nicely done from Hellvig. One of the most remarkable accomplishments a team can do is to go through a whole set keeping Anders out of the blocking category. Sweden is doing that, and that is a big reason they are up 16-12.
Yeah, it's sometimes it is part of Anders' calibration process, I feel like, because we'll oftentimes see him get blocks in bunches. Once he kind of cracks the code, so to speak, he really cracks the code.
And Sørum is cracking the ball on his offensive swings. Going line, going angle, going line, going angle, mixing it up very well with those scud missiles. That is a tremendous pass from Hellvig, but there's Anders Mole getting on the board. His first block of the match. Good leave.
That was a tough leave because that was very close.
Mo getting his first serve of the day. Good night. That'll do.
Up in the air, a beautiful spike for Team Norway. Norway 15, Sweden 17.
That is just fantastic. You're reminded of the physicality of Anders Mol. Swings like that.
Hellvig doing such an excellent job of staying high, not bringing it low into the orbit of Anders Mol, and it is a considerable orbit he puts up in the net.
15. Jonathan Hellvig to play the serve. To the net.
Now this is a big point. This 16-18 point always fascinates and intrigues me because the difference between a 17-18 and a 19-16 match is difficult to overstate. And Johnny Hellvig picking his spots on two so very well. Sweden remains in full control 19-16.
Indeed, yeah, Sweden doing a really nice job working the outer reaches of the court, so to speak, the sidelines. Margins are thinner there, but that's kind of where you need to operate to avoid not only the block of Anders Mol, but the defense of Christian Sørum. Sweden doing it beautifully right now.
Excellent pickup from hman. An excellent transition put away from David hman. Sweden pushing ahead to their first set point, up 20-16 over the Beach Volley Vikings.
Yeah, and I love the calm discipline from Oman on defense there. Just held his ground, waited till the shot came, and then scurried up to get underneath it.
And that goes way wide from Christian Sørum. And Sweden plays what I have to give them a perfect 100 out of 100 A+ grade in that set.
Yeah, I think Norway got maybe 2 real points in the entirety of that set. Sweden were phenomenal. A relatively error-free first set from both sides. In low numbers, 4 and 2.
Excellent beach volleyball on court here for the Beach Pro Tour Finals. Not much service pressure in that opening set from Norway, but I think that's also a testament to the platform control of Oman and Hellvig, of how difficult it is to get them out of system.
Yeah, indeed. You see no blocks, no aces for Sweden, but that just shows how much service pressure they put on and what great defense they played overall to win that first set in convincing fashion.
And it's one thing to get a dig against Norway. It's an entirely another chapter of that book to put it away with the consistency that Oman did. As a 21-16 win looked relatively easy. The question, can they do it again? And that is just why they're human. Sweden's human. An error on Johnny Hellvig. Norway takes a 1-0 lead.
Yeah, it's amazing how a little 60 or 90 second rest can throw such a wrench in what's otherwise been perfection.
A little bit more trouble for Sweden. On well off the net, 2 straight errors. They now match their total of errors in the first set in the first 2 points of set number 2. Open net swing, David hman. Now, how do we say Yahtzee in Swedish?
That's I don't know. There's going to be some. I don't know if they're umlauts in Swedish or if they're just the circles over the letters, but those will be in there.
Good response from Sweden after giving up 2 straight errors, and what a wonderful line shot that is from Sørum.
Yeah, it's so amazing to me, his control with his contacts. You know, we talk about kind of how his attacks have a little bit of scud to them, but his shots have such great roll, such great spin on them.
An interesting choice for Aman to jump set that one. Had an open net opportunity. Instead, send that all the way across the net. Johnny Hellvig making the most of it.
And one of the benefits of one of the many benefits of the offense that they run is that even if you make not the perfect decision, your defenders are still on their heels trying to deal with you.
Hellvig still in search of his first block of this match. Sørum doing a really nice job of sort of taking him out of play. Excellent serve from Sørum, and that's going to produce the overpass, and Anders Mol puts that one away, no problem. Norway charging out to a 5-2 lead in this second set.
The Beach Volley Vikings. Christian Sørum to play the serve.
One of the things I like about both of these teams is their demeanor on the court. One of the hallmarks of really good teams, I think, is that there's not a lot of emotional ebb and flow, even if there's, performance ebb and flow, so to speak. You look at their demeanor, you can't tell necessarily whether they're up or down at any given point.
Just for the coolest customers in the beach volleyball world. Never bothered. And we talked a lot about the patience and trust that Anders and Christian have in their system. They know that the longer a match goes on, the higher, statistically speaking, their odds are, but also just their IQ is so high. Their ability to adjust is so high. Now we're starting to see Norway. They've collected the data, and here they are with a 3-point lead, looking very smooth on offense and starting to earn more consistently on defense.
Point for Sweden. Sweden 4, Norway 6.
Good high swing there from Johnny Hellvig. One off the hands and wide.
And that's going to be an error on Anders Mol. Bit of a miscommunication down the seam, creating some trouble for Norway.
Jonathan Hellvig to play the serve.
Tough serve from Hellvig. It's going to be trouble for Sørum at the net. Oh, what a block from Anders. And then what a swing in transition. Anders Mol, no approach, and still bringing the thunder.
And just an absolute crunch on that ball. And it was really that block to give his team a chance there that saved that point for Norway.
Excellent spread pass, perfect execution from Sweden. That's not an easy offense to run, and they just make it look so simple.
Oman in particular on that right side makes that swing look so easy, and that's really the most difficult swing you can have as a right-hander on the right side.
And we have an ace serve from David Aman. I believe, just counting the score in my head, it is 7-7 at the switch. Good comeback from Sweden. We've seen those droppers all week long in Doha. Something about the air, it just creates these air pockets, and the ball just takes the elevator straight down.
Yeah, that's the most difficult serve, I feel like, is the one that drops in front of you as a receiver.
And somehow, how did that get through the wickets of Hellvig? And just the touch from Christian Sørum, so smooth. It makes me laugh a little bit. You have these big physical players, Anders just taking rips, Oman taking rips, and then Sørum just, well, a jumbo is still worth the same as a big swing.
That's right. His vision is impeccable.
Nice lead from Hellvig.
I'm a little surprised he hasn't gone back to the loopy deep float serve a little bit more, but who am I to second guess?
What a run-through set that is from Moll. And the chicken wing cover is no good. And that block from Hellvig, his first of the match, is going to give Sweden their first lead of this second set at 11-10. There's a thumbs up.
Yeah, that's the brain trust right there. Anders Christensen and Razzie, the coaching staff for the Swedes.
What an exciting second set. Very, very close.
And it's just talking with Razzie about this offense of Sweden, where this is just what they've been doing since they were 12 years old. And so a lot of teams are now starting to break out the jump sets. But what's happening is a lot of teams will start to break it out, but they'll actually throw away more points than they get because it's such a difficult offense to run. But because Sweden, despite their youth at 21 and 22 years old, because they've been running it for about 10 years, they have mastered their craft in spite of being kids relative to the rest of the world.
Well, yeah, the jump setting part of it is, spectacular visually, but to me, the thing that they do better than anything else is their decision making. When to employ it, when to hit the option ball, when to set to your partner. That's what's so dialed in with Johnny and David, in my opinion, and it's because, as you mentioned, they've been training it for so long. So teams that just try and implement it, thinking that it's a good thing to do, and it is a good thing to do, but it takes lots and lots of reps and probably lots and lots of years to get the decision-making element down.
And no doubt, lots and lots of frustration when it's working on, say, the windy days, and they do it in all weather, all conditions. And Anders just gets caught fishing in the net, evoking the unwritten rule of beach volleyball. Whenever you're in the net, your defender's done something perfect.
That is right. If you want to guarantee a dig from your defender, net on the block.
Oh, what a pickup from Oman. And again, Anders gets in the net. Back-to-back net violations. But that play, that net doesn't happen if Oman doesn't extend that rally with a phenomenal backhand flipper.
Yeah, I mean, the distance he ran, the speed with which he ran it was outstanding.
Just the hypnotizer of a teardrop from Christian Sørum, just dangling that carrot around the block of Johnny Hellvig.
It almost induces the doggy paddle out of the blocker, right?
Nice dig from Sørum. Big chance in transition for Norway. It's just going to be a free ball. And that's a good put away from Norway. And that, Rich, might be sort of the decision making. That's one of the first unwise decisions we've seen from Norway. Hellvig going for that backwards poke right into the lap of Sørum.
Yeah, it looked like maybe that was a little bit of a tight pass. Couldn't quite tell. Might have been just a little bit of a ball control mistake that forced him to go with that back knuckle. But it could have been a mistake in decision making as well.
One of the rarest phrases you'll hear in terms of the Swedish team is ball control mistake. And there was a lot going on that rally. Oman, nice grit, mental focus on that play to keep the advantage for Sweden.
Yeah, and we talk about their decision making that is the product of a decade plus of training in their methodology, but the volleyball IQ that's come along with that is off the charts as well. That swipe play, phenomenal from Oman.
That is tremendous. Tremendous on two from Anders Moll.
That's one of those acoustic delights we talk about.
The angles that he can hit, summoning all that power on what was sort of a half step close, the athleticism, there are some things you can teach, a lot of things you can teach. There are some things that Anders should say, thanks, Mom, thanks, Dad, for the genetics.
That's right.
And that is long from Johnny Hellvig. No net violation that time for Anders. So Norway will retake the lead 15-14.
That might be the pivotal point in the second set.
And is that long again from Hellvig? Yes, it is. Hellvig, a third error in this second set. Norway reestablishing a 2-point lead, and Sweden is going to take a timeout.
Two carbon copy swings right there. They look to be good swings. You know, Johnny Hellvig doing the right thing, keeping it high, which you have to do against the block of Anders Mol. But if you miss the hands, that can be the result at times. It just goes slightly long of the end line.
And I think it shows as well that when you are able to remove the threat of the jump set and option, that makes Sweden significantly more fallible as a team. As the last two plays, Hellvig just slightly enough out of system that Oman's onto threat was removed, and that allowed Norway to set up in a more disciplined, balanced defense.
And we are back. Norway 16, Sweden 14. Christian Sørum to serve.
Oh, nice pickup from Sørum. Almost gets the pickup. The net seemed to just skip that just out of reach.
Yeah, it was a great read, but a good crisp cut shot from Johnny Hellvig gets him the winner.
Good break for Norway, keeping the lead at 2.
Norway 17, Sweden 15. Anders Mol to play the serve.
Nice high swing from Hellvig. That's not a swing that many people will get away with, but Hellvig is doing such an excellent job of staying high and out of that reach of Anders.
Yeah, those are the swings that he's been making consistently. When they miss the hands, we saw it result in a couple balls long. But that's the way you have to swing against this big block of Anders Mol.
Oh, what a dig from David Oman. And then the wrist away swing from Mol goes wide. And we are tied up again at 17.
The Swedish jump setters.
Tremendous defensive effort to extend plays. David Oman.
Oman gets it up again to take the lead. Not yet. And it is taken. The soft block set for Mol goes just a hair wide, and Sørum sends it just a little left. And Sweden retakes the edge 18-17. 3 points to go to claim the gold medal at the Beach Pro Tour final.
How about the grit from these Swedes, Travis? After those two successive hitting errors from Hellvig, we thought that might be the window opening for Norway to push this to a third set. But look at the bounce back. Look at the grit. Look at the determination of Johnny and David.
And how many times have we watched it happen on the Beach Pro Tour where a team, especially a young one, plays Anders and Christian, you go down a little bit, and then the avalanche starts. The floodgates open, whatever term you want to use, and Anders and Christian just run away with it. It's so easy to allow the allure, the prestige, just the reputation of the Volley Vikings to put you in a brutal mental space, to let a set just completely run away from you. And then, as you mentioned, the grit, the perseverance, the tenacity of Sweden and the maturity at 21 and 22 years old to not be afraid of one of the greatest teams to ever play and to come back and retake the lead at the tail end of the second set. It's remarkable.
Yeah, it certainly is remarkable. You know, to me, they're one of the best examples of the concept that winning is a habit. You know, they've won everything at every kind of age group that they've come through. So they've just gotten used to being in these championship positions, these championship finals and so forth, and winning them. And so it's become habitual for them. They're not scared of the moment.
And this is a big chance in transition to extend the lead to 2. Not yet. Now it's taken. David Oman punishing that one down the line, and Sweden's run continues.
And again, just great decision making. Stretching Anders there. He gets the block to make them do it again. They do it again. Great cross-body swing from Oman to seal it.
That's all the edge they need technically. Just 2 side outs is the order for Sweden. That is no easy feat against Anders Moe and Christian Sørum. And that is another block for Jonathan Hellvig. What a time to do it. The run continues. 4 straight points for Sweden to take a 2017 lead.
Who would have seen this coming, Travis? Certainly not me.
And that will bring us to our first gold medal point of the Beach Pro Tour Finals. And they have it. They have it. Sweden has done it. 5 straight points to close it. 21-17. 21-year-old Jonathan Hellvig, 22-year-old David Oman, beaten the seemingly